Hi, PECon. This is video 1 for chapter 7, pages 160 through 167, and this section is all about unemployment. So the book tries to define unemployment in a variety of ways to get you to understand it, but in essence, unemployment just really measures, it's a rate, it's a percentage, right, that measures the number of people that are unemployed versus the number of people that are in the labor force. So this brings up a couple interesting things. First off, who are the people that are unemployed, and who are the people that are in the labor force? The labor force is anybody who is employed or is currently looking for a job but can't find one. So currently, as of January 2014, the unemployment rate is sitting at 6.7%. That's down in recent years, and that 6.7% refers to 10.4 million Americans. What that means, if you look at the numbers here, like 6.7%, our population is over 325 million people. So that represents, man, that should be like over 30 or like close to 25 million people or something if 6.7% of Americans are unemployed. But this doesn't refer to that. This 6.7% refers to number of people that are in the labor force and can't find a job. So I drew a little pie graph over here to help us out. If this pie graph represents the United States, then there are three different categories of people. There are the people that are employed, and they make up the largest section. And then you have the next group of people are unemployed. Just to give you some context here, these people, these unemployed people and the employed, are in the labor force. They are factored in the labor force participation rate, which is 62.8% of our U.S. population. That's actually the lowest it's been since women started working in large numbers. So that 62.8% is the number of Americans that participate in the labor force. And then you have these last group of people, the NILFs, the NILFs, are not in labor force. That refers to people like my grandmother, who is retired, my daughter, who is 1 year old, and is not in the labor force. She's not currently looking for a job. She's not unemployed, though. People who are unemployed are in these four different categories of things. Like, so typical people that are unemployed are either job losers, somebody who lost their job due to factory relocating or something, a reentrant, which is somebody who's coming back from a leave of absence, let's say. A woman has children and then for a few years is not in the labor force. She re-enters the labor force and could be considered unemployed. A job leaver, somebody who willingly leaves their job, perhaps to relocate, or because they're fed up with their boss or something. And then lastly is a new entrant, and that's probably most likely going to be you guys if you are find yourself unemployed after college. This is a real thing, unemployment. Pretty much everybody that I'm talking to right now in this video is going to be unemployed at some point in your life. Whether that be for an extended period of time or not, we can only hope it's just for a short amount of time. But the average person average college graduate will have between 3 and 5 jobs in their lifetime, so you'll be unemployed at some point. One of the criticisms of unemployment rate is that it excludes people who are discouraged workers. Discouraged workers total, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics right now, about 917,000 people. These discouraged workers are people who have stopped looking for a job, so they are they're not in the labor force. They're part of this NILF population, but they perhaps could be. Perhaps they've given up after a year of looking, and they just decided to. Let's say you were a discouraged worker after college. It's been a year, and you just hang out in your parents' basement and play video games or something. You could be a discouraged worker. You perhaps should count towards unemployment, and so you can add that here. This 10.4 million people, that would increase the unemployment rate. Now, there are different types of unemployment the book talks about. There's actually 4 types, but then we're going to talk about natural unemployment. We're going to start with these down here because they're a little bit easier to understand, cyclical and seasonal. Cyclical unemployment is a symptom of a business cycle. In a recession, people will be laid off from their jobs, and so they will be considered cyclically unemployed. So people who are seasonally unemployed are unemployed because of the season. Mall Santas, construction workers, corn pickers, those are the type of people that are seasonally unemployed. These other two are a little bit more interesting, though, frictional and structural. Frictional unemployment refers to people who are switching their jobs. It's a natural process in the economy. People will want to move from Champaign to Phoenix because they're fed up with the snow, or they'll want to move to Hawaii to be with their family, and they'll be unemployed for a period of time. That's frictional unemployment. And the other type of unemployment is structural, and that refers to the structure of the economy not fitting the skills you have. For example, if you are a telephone operator, your job is your skill set is not going to match the current economy. There's automated systems for that now. So if the factory goes out of business where you work and you were trained just to work at that factory, you may be structurally unemployed because your skills don't match with the economy. If all of a sudden economics teachers are no longer needed, then my skills in being trained to teach people economics, I would be structurally unemployed. In a normal economy, structural and frictional unemployment are always going to happen. People will always need to move. People will always need to develop new skill sets. So those two are sort of included in what we call the natural rate of unemployment. And the natural rate of unemployment is an interesting figure. It's really debatable, and we're not going to talk about it too much in this video. We'll definitely talk about it in class. But the natural rate of unemployment just refers to the prevailing unemployment rate in the long run. And a lot of economists argue about what that number is. It could be 3%, it could be higher. Some economists argue that it should be higher because of the development of technology is pushing people out of the labor force, and so we should end up having a natural rate that's higher. In the early 2000s, people argued that natural rate of unemployment might be 2%. So the book also defines this thing as full employment. Full employment doesn't mean that every person in this pie chart's working. It just means that everybody that is in the labor force is working. So this is video 1. Look out for video 2.